Hey, what's up, guys? This is the final installment of my series 4K Nightmare / Journey and What You Can Learn. We are now in the final video, which is the SONY 900E 75-inch, which is on this video. For those of you that have not seen the earlier parts, please go back to those videos that are on the channels, part 1 through 5 or whatever it is, to really get each one of those piece by piece, as they start with a JS9000 Samsung 65 inches to a Vizio P series, excuse me, mid-level HDR 4K full array display. I had two of those 75 inches, then two that was defective, by the way, to the Samsung KS9000. What you're going to hear through the video is how I traveled from mid-level all the way to the highest flagship of Samsung's line and Sony's line, and worked my way back down. The next displays were the 78-inch KS9500, then the 78-inch flagship KS9800. They were both curved, and then the Sony 940E. And after 11, 12 displays, I believe the 900E is my 12th since 2015. So here we are in the present. To find out what happened with all those other displays, I can just sum it up as 9000 compatibility issues, Vizio P series line defects, Samsung KS9000 gorgeous bright flashlighting, edge lip bleed, terrible blooming, dead pixels. Same with the 9500. Also same with the $10,000 KS9800. Now I list the price of this display not to show off, but to indicate or show how out of control money can get when you're chasing the next level, when you're saying to yourself, well, I can't fix these things, I only have to go up in price. So that was part of the journey, was trying to go to the next level, thinking it was going to solve the issue. More importantly is trying to let you guys, or make you guys, understand the amount of time and effort that it takes. A lot of you are researching displays, you're contacting me, you're contacting other people on YouTube, blogs, forums, you're looking at TVs in the store, you're talking to websites. That stuff just takes so much time, and it's great to do that kind of research. However, it can border on obsession when you start getting some defective displays. You immediately start questioning your own eyes and questioning your own judgment, and you do a lot of, well, hey, can I live with that? And I find that to be one of the important parts of this video series on this subject, is when you pay for something, you shouldn't be saying to yourself, can I live with this? Especially something that is supposed to be pleasurable, something that's supposed to be pleasing to your eye. Should you buy something brand new, if there's a big crack across the screen, you shouldn't be saying, should I live with this? And unfortunately, due to the panel lottery and due to the technology that is squeezed into these displays, and HDR and all these other acronyms that we become addicted to, we start to see them try to make these things work, and we're seeing the byproduct and the side effects, if you will. And we're saying, hey, is that okay? Can I deal with that much blooming in the black bars? Can I deal with that much warping of the body? Can I deal with those dead pixels? I mean, I paid money, but it's such a pain to have it delivered. And by the way, guys, when you get into the 75-inch size, there is no throwing it back in your car unless you have a truck. There also isn't much inventory, guys. So back to the beginning of this video, all the other videos, if you can find them on the channel, they go by parts. I also explain a lot of dealing with the retailers, standing your ground, being polite but being firm, not letting them tell you that you're stuck with a display or you're going to have a restocking fee. Best Buy has changed their guidelines and policies on how many displays you can return. I didn't return any of these displays, guys, because I didn't like them. The only one that wasn't truly defective was the JS9000. That was in 2015. That was my fault. That was a compatibility issue with my surround sound. I don't have 4K pass-through on my Pioneer receiver. So that was my thing. I didn't even realize 4K pass-through was a thing in 2000. I thought 2015. I thought it was just you plug it in HDMI, you're ready to go. The Vizio was defective. The other ones were defective, but the Sony 940E, which was their flagship that year, It just had a slow pixel response and it didn't meet my needs. And I almost got stuck with it because when I was talking to the retailer, which was Amazon, I didn't say it was defective. And I'm not saying you should be dishonest. I'm just saying you can't say to a retailer, I don't like it. You can't buy an oven or a wash machine, bring it home and say, hey guys, I don't like this. They'll basically either repair it, but you're stuck with it. You can't return a car because you don't like it. So displays are one of the few high-end appliances that you can actually bring back and say it's defective and they won't immediately fix it. That I'm sure will change as the panel lottery grows and grows. But Best Buy was just about done with me by display 5. And they still know me to this day. I had one of the guys at the store telling me, oh, you can't buy another TV here, they know you. Which is unfortunate because their eye wasn't as keen as mine or as keen as yours. But when you get an open box at a store and it's in a bright room showing you content like this, you can't see edge lip bleed because it's full screen. So they would take it out, they'd plug it in and say, I don't know what you're talking about. And in a bright room, you couldn't see it anyway. So don't let them make you think you're crazy. But what I wanted to have this last video be about is the Sony 900E, which is the current display that I have. Now, a lot of you love that display. A lot of people hate the display. Some think it's the best display ever created by man. And I fall somewhere in the middle. And to be honest, I was very underwhelmed by the Sony 900E, and I'll explain why. After all the trouble I went through in the videos of 11 TVs ranging from $4,000 all the way to $10,000, my hopes were brought higher and higher. So with each display, for example, the Vizio P series, which was fine, I chased input lag on that one. Then I was saying, well, I'm going to go up to, 12,000 nits, or 1,200 nits, 1,300 nits. HDR is going to be that much brighter. So with each iteration and each step that I took, I got more and more excited of the possibility. Reading the reviews, like you guys, poring over those forums, I couldn't wait for that blinding brightness. And you better believe that once those KS9000s came in here, I was blown away. Also, the picture was terribly washed out, flash lighting everywhere. Those of you that had some of those displays know what I'm talking about. And some of you that have had some defective 930Es can relate to what I'm talking about as well. Edge lit is just very hard on displays this bright. But I know in the 930E, their black level is better, so it's about finding a better panel. The 9000s, I just felt like they were very flawed. Simply too bright, too thin. The next year's Samsungs were totally different. They were not as bright, and they're better. So it showed me they learned. And it showed me this year, in 2018, they're going to full array. That's showing me as well that they learned there's issues. But my point is going up, up, up. At least as much as I was upset about the previous display, I had more power to look forward to. By the time I got to the 9800 Samsung, it was now 78 inches. I went from 75 to 78 curved. It was elegant. It was full array. It was brighter than the 9000. It was the highest end, guys. It was my dream TV. I couldn't wait to get it. And then when that one was having blue lines, defects, it's not about being picky either, guys. It's just these things didn't work properly. I went through 3 of those and worked my way back down. The 940E was still flagship. So I want to impress upon you the word flagship and how snobby I was getting with it. I was justifying the money I spent. The money I had not budgeted was now, I went from almost triple my initial investment. I wanted to justify that. I wanted to, if I'm getting the best of the best, that car better be faster. This better be better. It better be more luxurious. And that's not always the case. And I really did not want to go back down. And when I got to the Sony, I was told that its slower pixel response wasn't going to be good for gaming. And I still wanted it. I didn't want the 900E. And unfortunately, guys, I'm also at 75 inches, which made OLED not affordable. The 77-inch OLED at the time, I believe, was $15,000, which was just out of this world, and I wasn't going to go down. Now, some of you are going to say, well, picture quality trumps all, and you are right in many ways. However, for me, 4K is about going big. I'm in my 40s, so home theater was always a passion of mine. The displays were to get larger to be home theater, like the movie theater. So once I got up to 75, I wasn't going to go back down to 65, especially since these years, or this current 65-inch class, is smaller than my 65-inch plasma. The 65-inch plasma I came from was a true 65 inches. A 65-inch Samsung is it's called 65-inch class. It is 64 point whatever. With the bezel, with the stand, the displays look tiny in comparison to an older 65. That's mental, I understand. But guys, I was trying to go up in size, not down in size. OLEDs are gorgeous. They are still, as those of you know, are my favorite looking display. I believe it is the best picture quality out there. I was not going to go down in size. I got one from my parents. I reviewed it. I just wasn't going backwards. The 930E was alluring me as well. It was super bright. It had a better pixel response than a 940E. 65 inches and edge-lit, guys. So going back, now the larger you go in size, guys, the more limited you are in choices. You would think of all these manufacturers, there are so many to choose from. There isn't. Once you get past 55 inches, it dwindles. 75 inches, you have 3 choices, 4 choices. After 75, you have maybe 1, maybe 2. And that's really all there is. And I felt hopeless. I didn't know where to go. I'm like, okay, well, I've already gone to the top of Samsung's line. I've been to the top of Sony's line, minus the Z9D, which I actually did buy, but canceled because I almost got stuck with the 940E. I wasn't going to get stuck with the 9000 Z9D, which at the time was reported to have the same pixel issues with blur that the 940 did. So I begrudgingly purchased the 900E. And I was very sour about it. I was very bratty about it. If you watch my earlier 900E videos on this channel, listen to my voice. I am not excited. I say in many of the videos it didn't have the same pop as the KS9000s. It didn't have the same pop as the 940E. And I was sour about it. It didn't wow me. And that's what I want to really talk about in this video, guys, is the expectation was going up, up, up. But I let my my expectations with numbers, money, input lag, peak brightness, all these different numbers, I let that steer my own eyes and what I saw before me. So the Sony 900E was probably the first display that I liked when I got and grew to love. Where most other high-end technology or tech that I have, especially in electronics, I tend to like initially, and then that starts to dissipate over time. And I didn't feel that way with the 900E. In comparison to the 940E, it wasn't built the same. It was more plastic. There was nothing sexy about the bezel. It just was very plain. I just didn't want anything to do with it. And I found as I went through it and used it, it didn't do anything amazing. It just did everything from really, really good to great. And I found myself loving it over time. Now, I know it's such a popular display, loved or hate. All I'm explaining to you is what I've learned from this journey, was to trust your eyes. A lot of you are seeing displays that you have, whether it's the 930E, your OLEDs, all your displays, and you're starting to see reviews from other people, and you're getting to where you're questioning yourself. And you're saying, well, maybe I should have purchased this. Don't question yourself. Once that window was closed, guys, once your return window is done, try and find a level of being content and just enjoying what's in front of you. The Sony 900E is my favorite display of all time. It is nowhere near the best display in terms of performance compared to the others. It's not even close to the KS9800. It wasn't close to those other displays. But what good does 1400 nits of peak brightness give me if I have flashing in the corners? What good does a full array 78 behemoth do me if there's blue lines shooting across the screen? The 900E does everything well. It is the safest bet. And a lot of you guys that have 900Es get very hung up on the mid-tier label. I don't care that it's mid-tier label now. I get that part of it. I'm glad it was priced mid-tier. It was cheaper than the Vizio P series. So this whole journey, guys, I must have tipped these drivers freaking $400 after all the deliveries that I've had. I started to feel good about the money that I spent. If I had bought a 77-inch OLED at $15,000, how much do you think I'd like that display? There's that cost ratio where you're just happy because, wow, you know, I spent a decent amount of money, I got what I wanted, and here it is. Versus before justifying, I can't believe I spent $10,000 on this damn thing, and you're still not happy. So it's nice to have, and think to yourself, guys, when you're spending as much money as you're going to spend, is this a display you're going to have for how many years? If I had purchased the KS9800, was I going to be happy with that display for $10,000? That would have been my display for about 6 years. With the 900E, I can justify picking up a new display in a couple years. But to be honest, I'm not going to. I don't want to. I'm content. I'm happy with the display that I have. It is not perfect. It's not the best display in the world. It's not the brightest, but it's bright enough. Its black level is not the deepest, but it's deep enough. Its motion is some of the best motion of any display in 2017, which is what I really struggled with my other displays. I'm a gamer. What is my usage? These are all the lessons I'm going through, by the way. What is my usage? What do I use it for? I use it for 80% gaming down here. Excellent. I was hung up on the fact that it wasn't getting upgraded to Dolby Vision. Well, Dolby Vision was upgraded in Sony and it hasn't been great. And the new TVs are going to wait for it. Well, I don't use Dolby Vision. I don't stream from this display. I don't watch Netflix down here. I don't watch. So again, knowing your usage, knowing what you're using it for. Dolby Vision would have held me back from purchasing this display, and I never use it. If I kept the 940E for prestige, but I never watch movies and I play only fast-paced video games, then I made the wrong choice. So what I want to then now talk about is not letting others really persuade you versus what you see with your own eyes. If you're happy with what you see, stop questioning it. I'm happy with this display. The 900E, to me, again, my favorite display of all time. Not the greatest display of all time, guys. That one really does not exist yet. None of these companies or manufacturers are 100% anything. None of them have it all. They're all limited. They all have their weaknesses. For me, for Whisper Status, for Brian, this is the best display available. I don't want to buy a 900F. I won't be moving to new displays until HDMI 2.1 becomes regular, until 4K at 120 hertz is commonplace. I won't be doing any of that only because of how happy I am with this display and how content I am. As a gamer, it is the best display I've ever played on or seen. It's deep enough. The motion is phenomenal. I like being outside of game mode, which I struggled with other displays. It's very customizable. It has a lot of settings to change and to tweak. So I really did fall in love with it, in spite of myself and in spite of everyone else's opinion and my own snobbiness of the whole flagship thing. And also want to tell you guys, the more money you spend doesn't guarantee you anything in life, whether it's TVs or cars or houses. If it's going to be more of a headache, it's going to keep you from enjoying it. If you're buying a house you can't afford, how much are you going to enjoy being in that house if you're stressed? If I'm buying a TV that costs that much money, I spent more time being guilty. And then when it didn't work, it compounded it. I'm very comfortable with the money I spent on the 900E. It went over my expectations, if that makes sense. My expectations were very, very low, and I grew to love the display and have really, really enjoyed it. So that is the end of the journey, guys. The 900E, quickly, I want to go back to it as far as gaming, and I've done videos on this as well. Getting caught up in the numbers, guys. Input lag, nits. If you are somebody that says, oh, well, hey, my TV does 1400 nits. Well, I can't get an OLED. It's not bright enough. You have to have that open mind that it's not about what numbers you cling to. The beginning of this journey, the biggest number I clung to was input lag. 17.1 milliseconds, 13 Guys, you got to focus on the numbers that are important to you. The numbers that are going to work for you. It's how it looks. It's how it looks in your environment. It's not how it looks in a store where the lights are really, really bright. If you're seeing TVs in the stores that the settings are crazy, and sit there and watch it for a while. and you have to really think of how it's going to look in your home, in your smaller room, or in your brighter room. But that is the end of the journey, guys. I am very happy with the Sony 900E. I would recommend it to anybody. And I appreciate your patience for these long videos. And I hope you learned something from all the time I spent talking about them. But I am happy with the TV I have. I would recommend it again to anyone. And I just hope that